guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, as you can see by the screen right now, hopefully, and by the title of this video, of course, I'm going to be doing another tier list. The last tier list that I made was on UCL winning teams, and you guys showed a lot of support on that, so thank you so much for that. Today we're doing it on players, not teams, but individual players. I've compiled this list of some of the greatest players, in my opinion, of this, like, of the 2010s or like of the 21st century. Now, full disclosure, obviously not every great player is going to be here. I just thought of some off the top of my head. So if your favorite player isn't here, then I'm sorry, suck it up, but there's really nothing I can do now because I'm already making the video. But you guys can leave some suggestions in the comment section for some other players you guys want me to do, and I'll make a tier list of those that you guys want. But anyway, today we're going to rank all these players from tiers from S, A, B, C, and D. You can see them right here on the left. The tiers, there's 5 tiers today. The players are Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Frank Ribery, Kevin De Bruyne, Lionel Messi, Thomas Mueller, Lewandowski, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Luis Suarez, Karim Benzema, Harry Kane, Iniesta, Modric, Neymar, Eden Hazard, Arjen Robben, and Antoine Griezmann. So we got about 15 or 17 players here, something like that. So we're going to put them all on tier list. It should be fun. The criteria I'm going to use for this is going to be accolades, individual performances, longevity, you know, just like all that good stuff. We're gonna take everything. We're gonna take a whole career, a totality of a career into account when ranking these players. So this should be very fun. And yeah, let's get into the tier list. All right, starting off with Cristiano Ronaldo, or as I like to call him, Ronnie. Ronnie for me is gonna go into S tier. Now a lot of people think I hate Ronnie, but I think he's the second greatest player of all time. That's how much I hate him. In the history of this game, I think he's the second best player to ever lace him up in front of guys like Puskas and Di Stefano and Pelé and Maradona and Cruyff, all those guys. I mean, this guy, longevity is there. Accolades are there. He has the second most Ballon d'Ors of all time. He's won 4 European Golden Boots. He's a top goal scorer of all time, both internationally and for club. I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm wrong on that, but definitely in Europe. He's played a lot more games than Messi, but he's still a top goal scorer. Has won a Euro, has never won a World Cup. That's really his one weakness, but hey, you can't have everything. Only one guy has everything. Unfortunately, Ronnie does not. But then again, he's won 5 Champions Leagues and has been the top goal scorer in every single one he's played and the best player in all those teams. Has scored goals everywhere he's been, whether the first stint at United, Real Madrid, where he broke every single record. He scored more goals in games that he played. Then he goes to Juve, scores a bunch of goals. Goes back to United, scores a bunch of goals. Now he's in the Saudi League, scoring a bunch of goals. I mean, there's really not much I can say about Cristiano Ronaldo. Just a guy who, if he played in, like, obviously you can't pick when you're born, but if Ronaldo would have been born in any other era, he'd be the consensus best player of that era. It just so happened that he was born in the wrong era. I mean, that's all we can say. But yeah, Ronaldo to me is an S tier player. Moving on to Gareth Bale. To me, Gareth Bale, I was debating where to put him. It was between C and B. Honestly, I never thought about putting him in A or S because I don't think he's that caliber of player. I think a lot of times Gareth Bale fans and Madrid fans kind of overrate his career a little bit. And to me, he's gonna go into B tier. Now, he won a lot of important trophies in his career, especially Champions Leagues. He won 5 Champions Leagues. Now, for this last one he won in 2022, I don't think he played a single minute in that squad. I could be wrong, but I didn't see him play one time. Obviously won the ones in 2013-14 La Decima, and then was part of all those 3P teams. Was very good at Spurs. But when I look at Gareth Bale's career, like, yes, at Spurs he was good, but he was at Spurs, right? Then he moves to Real Madrid, and his first season there, he was a very good player. That was his best season there, in my opinion. He excelled. He scored in the Champions League final. He scored in the Copa del Rey final to win that for Real Madrid, obviously, where he skinned Marc Bartra, and obviously that famous meme was born. A beautiful goal, by the way. But then after that, Gareth Bale's career was really never, like, he never lived up to what he was supposed to be. And if you remember those last years where they won the Champions League and those 3P teams, in 2016-17, he came off the bench in Cardiff, and Isco started that final. And the same thing in 17-18. Now, in 17-18, he was the sole reason why that team won that game. I mean, he came off the bench and scored one of the most beautiful goals, the most beautiful goal, in my opinion, in Champions League final history, and then obviously scored the other goal. So he was man of the match in that game, and they owe that Champions League to Gareth Bale because, I mean, if Zidane doesn't bring him on, who knows what happens in that game. But to me, when I look at Gareth Bale, I think he underachieved in his career. I think, obviously, he fell out of love with Real Madrid fans at the end because of that whole Wales goal for Real Madrid thing that he did. And it just seemed like he was ungrateful for those fans. So to me, and look, I'm not a guy who's a big fan of Real Madrid. I mean, you guys know that. But I mean, I understand why the fans got frustrated with him because it just seemed like he never really wanted to fucking play. I mean, he just seemed to be a lot of the times just checked out. Moving on to the Frenchman, Frank Ribery. He's going to go into B tier for me as well. Frank Ribery was a guy who, I mean, he won everything in club football. He won a treble with Bayern Munich in 2013. Arguably, people argue he should have won a Ballon d'Or that year. Now, I don't agree with that. I think Ronaldo was the rightful winner of that Ballon d'Or. He finished third, obviously. He even finished behind Messi that year. But he had a very good season that year. I think Frank Ribery is a guy who was very impactful for one of the most dominant, for one of the most successful teams in Europe for a long period of time. He was in Bayern Munich in 2010 when they made the Champions League final, but he didn't play in that final final because he was suspended. He was in the Champions League final in 2012 when they lost to Chelsea, was obviously in the Champions League final when they won the treble. So when I look at the trophies that he won, it's obviously there. Did not win any significant trophies with France because obviously he was part of the team that made the Champions League, not the Champions League, the World Cup final in 06 and that lost to Italy. Scored a lot of goals, was a very good, very good playmaker, was a very good dribbler. I mean, he was out on that left wing. Him and Robben were a great partnership. But I don't think Frank Ribery is an A tier player. I think he's on that same tier as Gareth Bale. One guy to me was more individually talented and was better. That's obviously Frank Ribery. But the other guy has more trophies. Gareth Bale won 5 Champions Leagues. Frank Ribery won 1 Champions League. So to me, they're in the same tier because one guy, like I said, is better as a football player, but the other guy is more accomplished. Moving on to the ginger man himself. Is he ginger? I don't even know if he's ginger, but Kevin De Bruyne, he's going to go into A tier for me. In my opinion, the 3rd greatest midfielder in the history of the Premier League. Actually, or you could say top 3. I don't care where you put him. To me, he's 3rd. I would have Lampard number 1. I'd have Gerrard number 2. I'd have De Bruyne number 3. I think he's better than Scholes hadn't won the Champions League up until last year. And then he goes on and wins the treble. Of course, wins the Champions League, has won 5 Premier Leagues. At Wolfsburg, he was fucking amazing. Obviously, goes to Man City. And he's been the centerpiece for one of the most successful teams in the world. The most successful team in England for sure, but one of the most successful teams in the world for the past 2 years. And in England, for the better part of half a decade at this point. I mean, this guy is utterly fucking dominant. Dribbling is there. Playmaking, one of the best playmakers of his generation and of all time, honestly. Passing, to me, honestly, a top 5 passer of all time, along with guys like Messi and Iniesta and Xavi and Luka Modric who are also on this list. I mean, this guy, he's insane. Moving on to the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi. Of course, Messi's going to go into S tier. Actually, we're going to do this. S tier, of course, ahead of Ronaldo, the greatest player of all time. There is no debate about this to me. I think Ronaldo is S tier with Messi. I was actually going to be petty here and make a separate tier for Messi and then one for Ronaldo. I was going to put Messi in his own tier and then put Ronaldo with the other guys. But I was like, bro, don't be petty. These guys share the stage for 15 years. On me personally, I think Messi's miles better than Ronaldo. I don't even think it's a debate. I don't think it's close. I think Messi's significantly better. But obviously, some people might not agree with me here. I mean, this guy has done it everything. There's nothing you can poke holes in this guy's resume. Like I said, with Ronaldo, you can talk about the World Cup. Messi's made a World Cup final in 2014, made another one in 2022, won it in 2022, and had one of the greatest individual performances in a World Cup ever that year, last year in Qatar. Guys has 8 Ballon d'Ors. 8 fucking Ballon d'Ors. Insane. Has won 6 European Golden Boots, has won Champions Leagues, has won La Ligas, countless league titles, has won domestic cups, has won Club World Cups, has won Super Cups. This guy has done it all, has made Copa America finals, has won a Copa America. He's insane. The greatest goal scorer of all time, the greatest playmaker of all time, the greatest dribbler of all time. This guy is, we will never see a player like Messi in our entire lives. I don't care who it is. I will never have the argument with anybody, entertain the argument with anybody that there's a better footballer in the history of the sport. Obviously, football, there's a better player in the history of the sport than Lionel Andres Messi. Glaze fest here, but you guys, if you consume any of my content, you know how much I fucking adore this guy. Undisputed greatest player of all time. Moving on to Thomas Mueller, one of the most underrated players of all time in my opinion. He's gonna go into A tier for me. Thomas Mueller has done it all. He envies no player's trophy case. I mean, I'm talking about team, of course. He's never won a Ballon d'Or or a Golden Boot. But when it comes to team, I mean, this guy's won 2 Champions Leagues, has won 2 trebles. Both times he won the Champions League, he won a treble, won a Sextuple with Bayern Munich in 2020, and was a key contributor to both of those teams. Won a World Cup with Germany in 2014, made a World Cup semifinal, which doesn't really matter, but in 2010 with Germany as well. He's one of the greatest World Cup performers of all time. I mean, this guy is top 10, I'm pretty sure, in World Cup goals. Shows up every time in the national team, every single time. Has been one of the best players, or the best player, arguably, on the best team in Germany, and one of the best teams in Europe for the better part of a decade at this point, whether it was playing with Mario Mandzukic, or Mario Gomez, or Robert Lewandowski, or then now with Jamal Musiala and Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman, or any player, Miroslav Klose on the national team. It doesn't matter who he's playing with. I mean, this guy always fucking delivers. People underrate him because he doesn't have a flashy game. I mean, I fucking hate him personally because he always destroys Barcelona, but I respect his game so much. Doesn't really have a position. He's not a 10. He's not an 8. He kind of plays in that middle role. I mean, he's like, I don't know, he's kind of like Riquelme in that sense. In Spanish, it's called an enganche. So, obviously, when you see him play, you're like, what the fuck does he do? But every time you see him with the ball, he does something good. I mean, he's an elite passer, a very, very good playmaker, and a fantastic dribbler. Thomas Mueller, to me, is an A-tier player. Do I think he's better than Kevin De Bruyne? I don't know. It's a debate. I think it's a debate. People who act like it's not a debate, it's definitely a debate. Right now, I think I'd put Kevin De Bruyne slightly ahead of him. But I think these guys are in the same tier, of course. Moving on to Robert Lewandowski, the Polish man himself. He's going to go into A tier for me. In my regard, the second greatest striker of this generation. Now, obviously, he's currently playing for Barcelona, and I'm not a big fan of him right now, the way he's playing, because I think he's a little bit washed. But in his prime, there's no denying this guy was a fucking goal and output machine, whether it was a Borussia Dortmund with Jurgen Klopp, or then he goes to Bayern Munich, whether it was with Pep Guardiola or Hansi Flick. Scored 15 goals in the Champions League campaign in 2019-2020 when they won the treble, and they only played one leg after the round of 16. I mean, imagine if they would have played two legs. I mean, this guy was fucking ridiculous that year. He's been ridiculous every single year. A goal machine, one of the greatest finishers of this generation of all time, honestly. I mean, he should have won a Ballon d'Or in 2020. I don't know why the fuck they canceled that shit. But to me, he's a Ballon d'Or winner. He was going to win it that year. Now, he doesn't have the fucking physical award in his house, and it's not in like the record books. But to me, Robert Lewandowski is a Ballon d'Or winner. Just a fantastic, fantastic player, an output machine. People don't really give him the recognition sometimes that guys like Luis Suarez and Benzema get, or even Harry Kane, because he played in a league that wasn't really as washed as those other guys. But there's no doubt in my mind that Robert Lewandowski is one of the greatest strikers this game has ever seen. Again, take away my feelings for him right now when he's playing for Barcelona, because I do think, like I said, that he's a little bit washed. In his prime, there was very few players, if any, like Robert Lewandowski. Moving on to Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's going to go into C tier for me. Now, people might think I'm being a little bit harsh here. And look, I know the memes, and I think the memes are as funny as anybody, guys, okay? The clock doesn't tell Zlatan the time. Zlatan tells the clock the time, okay? Those things are hilarious. But to me, Zlatan Ibrahimovic's lore is bigger than the player. Now, this guy has played with some of the biggest clubs in the world. He played for Juve, he played for Inter, he played for AC Milan, he played for Barcelona, he played for PSG, which is not a big club historically, but obviously recently they become a big club. He played for LA Galaxy, if you want to throw them in there. I mean, he's played for some huge clubs, played for Ajax as well. But to me, and you guys might think I'm sounding harsh here, I don't think Zlatan Ibrahimovic has scored a single significant goal in his entire career. Honestly, I mean, this guy, he's never won a Champions League, never even made a Champions League final. The furthest he made was a semi-final with Barcelona in 2010. I'm pretty sure he made that one time. That's the furthest he ever went into the Champions League. When he lost to Inter, of course. And then, like, other than that, I mean, yes, he's won league titles with PSG, and he won a Scudetto with AC Milan when he went back. But Robert Lewandowski to me is a very limited player. He never really made. I was never really scared of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Honestly, when I watched him play, whenever he played against Barca, I never thought, wow. I mean, I'm really scared of this guy. I thought, oh, you know, he might shoot a ball, like he might shoot from outside of the box and it might go in. But eventually, he's not going to help his team win at the end of the day. That's just my opinion on him. Again, I don't hate this guy. I have him on this list, so I think he's one of the best players of this generation. But I don't think he's better than any of the guys I put above him. Moving on to Luis Suarez. This guy, of course, is going to go into A tier. Arguably the greatest striker of all time. And to me, no argument, the greatest striker of this generation. This guy won 2 golden boots in the era of Messi and Ronaldo. In 2013-14 with Liverpool, in 2015-16. That, to me, is just as impressive as winning a Ballon d'Or. Winning 2 golden boots in the era of these fucking machines that Messi and Ronaldo are, and were obviously in their prime, is fucking insane. I mean, this guy, when he did with Liverpool in 2013-14, was insane. At Ajax, people forget how good he was at Ajax. He had a season where he scored the most goals in a calendar year, I'm pretty sure, than any other player at Ajax. Goes to Barcelona, wins the treble, scores a bunch of goals. In 15-16, he was fucking ridiculous. His first season there, he was fucking ridiculous. His third season there, he was ridiculous. An amazing finisher, a fantastic, fantastic playmaker. This guy could drop deep and pass the ball around. I mean, just an insane player. Won a Copa America with Uruguay in 2011 and was the best player in that tournament. Won the Copa, made a World Cup semi-final in 2010, of course, with Uruguay as well. I mean, this guy, ridiculous player. Just look, off the pitch, I think he's kind of a douche. I think he's like, obviously we know the things with Patrice Evra, and he's kind of racist and he bites people. But on the pitch, there is no denying the talent that this guy was. A fucking legend of the game. Moving on to Karim Benzema. He's gonna go into A tier for me. This guy, look, people only think about Karim Benzema in his latter years at Real Madrid, obviously when he won the Ballon d'Or and he won the Champions League, and that Champions League run was fucking ridiculous, by the way. That to me is what puts him in A tier. He won a Ballon d'Or, of course, that year, and he deserved it. He was the rightful winner, 100%. There was no one ever close to winning that over him. I mean, what he did with that Real Madrid team was very good, okay? So they had guys like Vinicius Jr. and Fede Valverde and Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, but he was the player on that team. Every single round against PSG, hat-trick. Against Chelsea, hat-trick. Against fucking Man City, scores in the semi on both legs. In the final, did not score, but he was very good in that final as well. I mean, this guy was fucking inevitable that run. Now, obviously, the previous years, he wasn't really that outstanding of a player. Not outstanding. I don't mean in the sense that he wasn't a great player, but he wasn't like the main man on the team, because obviously he's playing with guys like Cristiano Ronaldo, who are always going to take the shine away from a guy like Karim Benzema, because Ronaldo's just a better player. But Karim Benzema was very good for a very long period of time. Every time Barcelona played against Real Madrid, I feared Karim Benzema. My fear scale on when Barca played them in those days, in Barcelona Madrid's prime when it came to the Clásicos, I was scared of Ronaldo, and then right behind him I was scared of Karim Benzema. Moving on to Harry Kane, I'm going to put him in B tier. I think Harry Kane's a fantastic player, a great footballer. I think he's a better footballer than both Frank Ribery and Gareth Bale, but I cannot put you in A tier with those guys who have won significant trophies. Every single guy in A tier and S tier has won Champions Leagues, and even at B tier, the guys he's with have won Champions Leagues. Harry Kane famously has never won a trophy. Now he's a great finisher. He's a fantastic playmaker. He's the top two. He's second in all time in obviously Premier League goals, right behind Alan Shearer. And obviously he's not gonna break the record now because he's playing in the Bundesliga. But anyway, this guy was a fucking machine. Is still a fucking machine. He might win a Champions League this year. Might win a treble this year. And if I redo this list in May, he'll go into A tier because of that. Because he's that good of a player to me. But like I said, I can't put you on the same. No matter how good I think you are as a footballer, I can't put you on the tier with Suarez and Benzema and Lewandowski and De Bruyne and Mueller when those guys have silverware and actual trophies that they've like the significant trophies, and you've never won any of those. Moving on to Andres Iniesta, he's gonna go into A tier for me, of course. One of my favorite players of all time. This guy to me is the greatest midfielder to ever play the game. Big game player, one of the best big game players the game has ever seen. Showed up everywhere. Internationally, for club football, was pivotal for Barcelona in 2009 when we won the treble, was pivotal for that team in 2011 when we won the double, was pivotal for that team in 2015, was the man of the match in the final, in the Champions League final against Juventus in 2015. Like I said, when we won the treble again. A fantastic playmaker, one of the best dribblers the game has ever seen, one of the most elegant footballers of all time. Had a great shot on him as well if you wanted him to shoot like we saw against Chelsea and Stamford Bridge. Scored in the World Cup final, of course, scored to bring Spain their first World Cup title in history. In the Euro in 2012, don't even get me started on how good he was. Obviously in the Euro 2008, this guy went from 2008 all the way to 2012. He went Euro 2008, Champions League 2009, World Cup 2010, Champions League 2011, and then Euro 2012. I mean, just winning significant trophies every single year. A born winner. One of the greatest players I've ever seen play. I'm so grateful he played for my club. So of course Andres Iniesta is going to be in A tier. Luka Modric is also going to go into A tier for me. Now I don't think he's as good as Andres Iniesta, but I think this guy is a very, very good player. One of the greatest midfielders the game has ever seen. To me, he's top 4. I think it's Iniesta, then I think it's Zidane, then I think it's Xavi, or actually I think it's Iniesta, Xavi, Zidane, and then Luka Modric. This guy, of course, internationally brought Croatia to relevance along with Ivan Rakitic and Mario Mandzukic and Perisic. Won a Ballon d'Or in 2018. Was fantastic for that Real Madrid team that won the Champions League in 2022. To me, that's his best season. Honestly, I think that season he was better than the 2018 year where he won the Ballon d'Or. I mean, to win a Ballon d'Or in the Messi-Ronaldo era, it should tell you how good of a player this guy is. Now, some people might say he didn't deserve that Ballon d'Or, that Ronaldo deserved it. Either way, he won it, so I gotta give him credit for that. Obviously, a fantastic, fantastic passer, a great dribbler. He could track back if you need him to. I mean, this guy is an elite player. Still playing at a very high level to this day. Now, he's obviously not the player that he was before, but still playing for one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world right now. Moving on to one of my favorite players of all time, Neymar Jr. Now, I wanted to put him in S tier, but I can't put anybody in that tier with those two guys. I think A tier is getting a little bit overcrowded here, but I gotta put him in A tier, bro. I gotta put him in A tier. Now, people might say, "Oh, but Bale and Neymar have similar careers. They both didn't reach their potential." I think Neymar's prime is significantly, it's not even close to me. It's significantly better than Gareth Bale's. This guy to me is the third greatest player of this generation. People forget how good he was at Santos when he won a Libertadores with them and was fucking insanely good in that whole run. Then he goes to Barcelona. His first year there, he was very good. His second year there, he wins a treble and was pivotal. Just like after Messi, he was the most pivotal player for that team in that 2015 Champions League run. He was joint top scorer along with Messi and Ronaldo in that Champions League campaign. I mean, this guy's fucking ridiculous. Has never won an international trophy, like a major trophy with Brazil. The one trophy that they did, like when Brazil won the Copa America in 2019, Neymar was not part of that squad. He was injured. Then he went to PSG, and obviously that's a mistake because his career has been derailed since then. Injuries have derailed him completely, of course. Now he's obviously went to Al Ittihad, I think is what it is, and then he got injured in the international break. And who knows if we'll ever see Neymar play again? Or if, he'll definitely never reach his level again. Definitely not now. But up until last year, in the World Cup, he was great, the games that he played. And there was an argument to be made. He was the best player in that PSG front three. And that was a front three with Mbappe and Messi. And then he got injured, of course, because that's the story with Neymar. He always gets injured, especially at PSG. But don't let that distract you from the fact that this guy was a ridiculous player at Barcelona. Like, honestly, he's to me a top 10 player in Barcelona's history. Of course, no doubt about that. This guy, along with Messi and Suarez, gave me some of the happiest moments of my life watching them play. I fucking love Neymar Jr. To me, has to be an A tier, not even a discussion. Moving on to Eden Hazard, to me he's going to go into B tier. I think Eden Hazard, in terms of like football ability, he's one of the best players that I've ever seen. He was a joy to watch week in and week out for that Chelsea team. Of course, won Premier Leagues with Chelsea, never won the Champions League. He actually arrived the season after they won the Champions League, so that sucks for him. But he was a fantastic player, of course. Dribbling, one of the best dribblers the game has ever seen. A very good finisher as well. A fantastic playmaker. To me, Eden Hazard just doesn't have like, if you see the guys above him, you can't make an argument for him to be better than any of the guys above him. He's not better than Luis Suarez. He's not better than Lewandowski, and his production doesn't state that he is either, by the way. He's not better than Neymar. So I think for me, putting him in B tier along with guys like Gareth Bale and Frank Ribery, who've won Champions Leagues and won trebles. Obviously Ribery, not Bale, but Bale's won 5 Champions Leagues. To me, it just speaks to how good of a footballer he was. Like similar with Harry Kane, except that Eden Hazard has won trophies, won a league on with fucking Leo as well, and was amazing. Moving on to Arjen Robben, the Dutchman. To me, I was debating between putting him in B tier and A tier. I think I'm going to put him in A tier. I think Arjen Robben is an A tier player. Has of course won Champions League, won a treble with Bayern Munich in 2013. Never won an international trophy, but he made a World Cup final with the Netherlands in 2010, and obviously lost in extra time to Spain. Made a World Cup semi-final in 2014. I mean, this guy was so fucking good for such a long period of time. That move where he cut inside from the right and then got on his left foot and curled it in every single time. I mean, players know what he was going to do, and he still found a way to do it every single time. That's how you know you're a great player, when everybody knows what your move is going to be, and you still pull it off every single fucking time. And then finishing it up with Antoine Griezmann, to me, he's going to be a B tier player. Antoine Griezmann's a fantastic player. I mean, his titles kind of leave something to be desired. Now, he's won a World Cup, which is fantastic, the biggest trophy of all time. But then league titles, he's never won one with Atletico Madrid. I don't think he's ever actually won a league title. Actually, maybe he has. I think he has won a league title. Maybe I'm actually not sure. No, he did, because he didn't win one with Barcelona. So he won a Copa del Rey with us, but not a league title. Didn't win with Atletico Madrid. Obviously, never won a Champions League with Atletico Madrid. Lost in 2016. He actually missed a penalty in that final, funny enough. And then when it comes to like individual accolades, he's finished top 3 in Ballon d'Or voting twice. Sorry, in 2014 and in 2016 and in 2018. And people argue he should have won it in 2018. He was very good that season. Still to this day, one of the best players in the world. I mean, he's fucking dominant still. Post-World Cup, he's been one of the best players in the world, in my opinion. But then again, I just don't think he's in that room with those other guys in front of him. But yeah, guys, that is the tier list. No players made D here. No, there's not a single player in the D tier. So, I mean, that's happy days, because obviously all these guys are fucking amazing. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. Like I always say, any tier list you guys want me to make, leave it in the comment section. I'll for sure get to it. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.